If you are looking to improve any part of your English conversation, today's lesson will be a priority for you. If you feel nervous speaking with strangers for the first time, it's important to learn some tips to make a good first impression and to work on your small talk. In any language, small talk or introductory talk is really important, and as a native English speaker, I set out to improve my own small talk to make better first impressions or just to improve my relationships personally and professionally. I also really wanted to help my English students improve their small talk and their first impressions as well. So for today's video, I researched the subject by reading a book by Lil Lowndes. It's called How to Talk to Anyone, and I'll leave a link in the description for this book. It was really helpful, and I've already used some of the tips in my own conversations. In this book, Lil suggests some small tips or modifications you can make to your language and your body language that will help you form better relationships and better first impressions. So I definitely recommend checking out the book. In today's lesson, I will talk about the tips in this book, and I'll also teach you some great English phrases that you can use to make a good first impression. I also recommend that you download the PDF that goes with this lesson that I made for you so that you can improve your small talk and take it away to study with. Now, let's go over some of the tips that you can use to be successful in your everyday small talk conversations. In this book, the author suggests that the most awkward part of any conversation is just getting it started. So if you haven't met someone before, the author suggests that you get a friend to introduce you to them. And that will make it easier because you don't have to say a lot about yourself at first. So if you're able to, definitely try to get someone to introduce you to the new person that you're going to speak with. Or if you see someone you know speaking with a stranger and you want to interrupt them politely, here are some phrases that you can use. Hi Jack, I wanted to tell you what I thought of that. Hello, sorry to interrupt, but I noticed that you two were talking about a really interesting subject. Jack, what are you guys talking about? Hi Jack, hi, you two must be having an interesting conversation. So this is a great suggestion from the book to have someone else introduce you, but it's definitely not always possible. So here is my English tip for this part of introducing yourself. You need to have your elevator speech or your initial introduction essentially memorized. You need to have it down to a T, and this English phrase means that you need to have it perfect before you go into the conversation. In English, we refer to this type of speech or this part of a conversation as an elevator speech because you're supposed to be able to introduce yourself and the amount of time that it would take to ride an elevator with someone. So it's a very quick way to introduce yourself. Let me show you my elevator speech, and I'll also show you what not to do. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm an English teacher. I actually teach online though, not in person. My students, they're pretty advanced English speakers, yeah. They live just all over the world. Hi, I'm Kayla. I teach conversational English to professionals all around the world. It's nice to meet you. And by the way, let's look at some ways that you can respond to meeting someone politely after they say their elevator speech. It's nice to make your acquaintance. It's a pleasure to meet you, Kayla. So here, instead of saying it's nice to meet your acquaintance, which is probably what an English textbook might teach you, it's just really formal. It's okay just to say it's nice to meet you. And always use the person's name right away if you can, because not only will the person appreciate it, but it will help you remember their name. So say, it's nice to meet you, Kayla, instead of just, it's nice to meet you. Right now, if you're working through this lesson with my PDF guide that you can download using the link below, I want you to pause the video and make sure to write down your elevator speech. Maybe you've thought about this before, your introduction, or maybe this is all new to you. Either way, again, we need to have this part of the conversation perfected so that we feel less nervous going into an introductory conversation. The next tip in this book that the author suggests is to make people feel like you are on their team, or just to emphasize the fact that you two are on the same team. I like to use the phrase finding common ground. When two people find common ground, it means they find a thing that they have in common, like maybe something they both like or something they both dislike, or just something that they can agree on very easily. Here are some examples of the ways that you can change your sentences to make it sound like you are on the same team as your conversation partner, and therefore, as the author says, really helping out in the conversation and making your conversation partner feel like you really have things in common and they want to speak to you more. What do you think about the company's new CEO? What do you think about our new CEO at the company? Did you hear about the new shopping center? Did you hear that our city just got a new shopping center? The next tip in the book is one that I really agree with, and it's called winning over your conversation partner. Now, in many books, it's suggested that if you get the other person in the conversation to speak about themselves, they will start to like you more and make a better impression. It's just natural that people like to speak about themselves and almost brag about their job or their family or whatever it is that they're very proud of. This conversation tip is really helpful, especially if you feel a little bit uncomfortable in the conversation or you're feeling a little bit nervous about your English, which you shouldn't. You should feel very confident because you're watching my video. And if you're enjoying this video and getting some good tips from it, make sure you subscribe and like the video. That would help so much. I recommend these 4 questions for getting your conversation partner to talk more about themselves and just making it easier to keep the conversation flowing nicely. So whenever your conversation partner introduces a topic that you feel they want to speak more about, you could say, "What's that like? Do you enjoy that? Is it difficult? Or would you recommend that?" Let's look at some examples when you can use these questions.
I've been working as a lab assistant at my university.
Do you enjoy that?
I have lived in the city for the last 5 years.
What's that like? Would you recommend it?
I have been really busy designing a new product.
Is that difficult? One thing that the author suggests is really important is body language, of course, because just right there you can feel the difference between me feeling very slumped and closed off and sitting up and feeling more confident. Body language is pretty universal, but I do think there are some differences in each culture, and especially here in the United States, that can help you feel more confident when speaking in a conversation. So remember, just like in the book, the author says you don't want to show that you're nervous, closed off, or very tense. You want to show that you're really engaged in the conversation, you're excited about what you're speaking about, and you're feeling confident. Some cultures in the world like to have lots of space between two people when they're speaking, and some cultures are way more comfortable being closer to their conversation partner. I would say we're somewhere in between in the United States. So I'll show you right now, instead of having slumped posture, closed arms, and no eye contact, try this instead. Have a Superman or Superwoman stance, look at the person you're trying to impress in the conversation, and have your arms open. If you're unsure of what you should be doing with your hands, try to mimic your conversation partner. So if they're using their hands a lot, try to use your hands a lot. Or if they have their hands just closed on their lap, try to close your hands as well. That will make your conversation partner feel more comfortable. This technique is called mirroring. Make sure to go check out the book using the link below. It's called How to Talk to Anyone by Leo Lowndes. It's really helpful for everyday conversations. And make sure to download the PDF guide that went along with this lesson. There's some extra tips in there that will help you in your introductory small talk conversations as well. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Goodbye!